Well, hello everyone, and welcome to your monthly PGI Q&A call with Bob Proctor. We are happy to welcome you to the line, and good morning, Bob.
How are you, Tracy?
I'm doing wonderful. Are you ready to dive into all these questions?
I'm all ready.
All right. Our first question is from Jean. Can the reason that you are not reaching your goal be a paradigm that you are not consciously aware of? How do you recognize paradigms that you are not consciously aware of?
By looking at your behavior and your results. There's all kinds of paradigms or ideas in your paradigm that you're not consciously aware of. A paradigm is a multitude of ideas that are fixed in your subconscious mind. Now, a habit is an idea that's fixed in your subconscious mind that you act on without any conscious thought. So the paradigm is a multitude of them. Now, the paradigm, if it's stopping you from reaching your goal, you may not be aware of what it is, what the cause is, but you can certainly see the symptom or the effect of it by looking at your results and looking at your behavior. And so you say, that's a result I want to change. Well, what's causing that result? And whatever's causing the result is the thing, it's your behavior. That behavior is provoked or caused by an idea in your subconscious mind. So write out the behavioral pattern that's causing the problem. Write it out, all its negativity, write it out. Then say, what would be the polar opposite to that? And in the present tense, write it out. Like, I'm so happy and grateful now that. And you write it out in the present tense. You're the polar opposite to the problem. Take the problem and burn it, literally burn it, light a match to it. Now that's just symbolic, but it helps. And it'd be like lighting a candle in a church. That's symbolic. That's how you change it. Now, when you get it written out, the positive one, you got to understand that that isn't fixed in your subconscious mind. You've got to plant that a number of times before it gets fixed. So you start to write it out every day about 10 or 20 times for 90 days. And you're going to find that behavior will start to change and your results will start to improve. Okay.
All right. Next one's from Joe. He says, 2 equally talented salespeople in the same company, same business, same number of daily customer calls, etc. One practices visualization affirmations, the other does not. What will happen?
Well, it's hard to say. One person could be an unconscious competent that doesn't do any of those things, and yet they still win. The other person that practices a visualization, everything is going to win. But you can find a person winning that doesn't do any of these things. And there's all kinds of people that are winning, and they don't know why. I was one of them. I was earning over $1 million a year, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing that caused me to be so successful, because I went from being just an abject failure to start to win, and I didn't know what I had done. It took me 9 years to figure it out. At first, I was just enjoying the win. You know, I was having a heck of a good time. And one day I asked myself, how did this happen? And I couldn't answer it. I knew I wasn't lucky. I didn't believe in luck. And, you know, I couldn't answer it. So I thought somebody must know why I'm winning. And so I started to study. That's how these seminars came about. It took me 9.5 years and I figured it out. And all I wanted to do was teach it. But you could have a person that doesn't do any of those things and still winning. Now, they would be unusual, but that could happen. Odds on, the person that doesn't do any of the visualization, doesn't do any of those things, is going to get poor results. Okay.
All right. Next one's from Jose. What would have happened if you started your floor cleaning business years ago without a goal card?
I don't know. Maybe nothing would have happened. It wasn't just a goal card, though. That was a part of it. That was a contributing factor. I worked like hell. I mean, I really worked hard. And I was working toward a particular objective all the time. So, you know, I think the fact that I wrote the goal card made a difference. But I might have done it without the goal card. I don't know that. Okay.
All right. Our next one's from Goran. A little bit of a long one. I attended an event where there was an exercise where we had to physically burn cash. They prepared everyone mentally to do it by previously repeating a declaration several times. I rule money, money doesn't rule me. Just before the first person began, they stopped the game and asked who was about to burn the money. I was about to burn it. They said, that's wrong. You have to honor and respect money. If you burn them, how would you expect to get more? With this act, you are saying that you don't need the money and don't care about having it. What I thought was, money is energy and it's always present everywhere in a different form, and I can always earn more than I need. $100 is only a number, so I am not attached to it, where some people were talking about how much money $100 is to them. It was too much for some, but not for others. From a millionaire's perception, I would have burned it as a piece of paper. How would you explain it from your point of view?
Well, I think it was a silly exercise I don't necessarily agree with. But I mean, I think I could take and burn $100 bill. It's not going to affect me one way or another. Just going to make me $100 less than what I've already got. So I have no intentions of burning it. Sometimes I spend it like I'm burning it, but I don't agree with the exercise. I think you do have to respect it. I think money goes where it's invited and it stays where it's welcome. But it's also earned. You don't get it for nothing. So you've got to become creative and you've got to give your best. Okay.
Right, next one's from Tina. I have my dream home chosen and work on the details every day. I understand that using my 5 senses is huge in helping this to manifest. However, I cannot physically go there at this time. Any suggestions?
Yeah, the idea hasn't manifested yet. You act as if you've already got it, though. But understand that if you just write it out and you're not working, you're not paying the price, it ain't going to happen. Some people think they do some of these things and they don't have to go to work. Just write it out, visualize it, and it's going to move into form. Person will come along in a white coat and take you to places where things like that happen. You got to put the effort in. You got to put the work in. You got to do the work. See, the idea that you write out all the senses, get the senses involved, that helps you. But you're going to take that idea and plant it in your subconscious mind. That planting of that idea in the subconscious mind is going to cause you to start doing things you're not now doing. You got to get out and act. You got to hustle. Okay?
Next one's from Robina. I'm taking my board exam. I decided to have 4 months to prepare, which limits the pressure. Sometimes I think 2 months is enough, but it would be more pressure. How should I think?
Well, if you can do it in 4, why are you going to take, if you can do it in 2, why would you take 4 months? First of all, you do your work, and before you write the exam, understand they're not going to ask you questions that you don't have the answers to. So put yourself in a very relaxed state when you go to write the exam. And repeat to yourself, I want to give thanks for all the answers that I need as I need them. I know they will come to me. Then you take and you start to read the questions. If you read a question and the answer doesn't come, go to the next question. Read that one. If the answer doesn't come, go to the next question. When you're working on the third one, the answer might come to the first. Stop what you're doing, go right back there and write it out. Otherwise, you may lose it. But understand you've got the answers locked up within you. If you're uptight, you'll block the flow of the information. You've got to be in a relaxed state. Become very, very relaxed and know that you've got the answers to any question they're going to ask you. They wouldn't ask you questions they haven't given you the answer to prior to that. But the trick is to be relaxed. If you're going to take 4 months and you know you can do it in 2, I think what you're doing is you're selling yourself a bill of goods. Quit doing that. Relax. Do the 2 months, go and write your exam and pass it.
All right, next one's from Niku. Is it normal to ask for money up front? I find it's too much work to deal with unpaid invoices, and it gives me the greatest amount of unhappiness. How can I ask for money before I deliver the results?
Well, first of all, I don't know what you're doing. Is it right to ask for it up front? Sometimes you can ask for some of it. You certainly should ask for some of it. You don't have to ask for it all. But if you find problem asking for money, you got a problem with money. I don't have any trouble at all asking a person for money. If you're selling, that's something you have to get good at, or you're not going to sell very much. But, you know, you shouldn't, first of all, you shouldn't be going after the unpaid invoices. Hire somebody to do that for you. But you should get a good part of it up front and hire somebody else to do your collections.
All right, from Malin. Neville Goddard says, the future must become the present in the the future must become the present in the imagination of the one who would wisely and consciously create circumstances. How can I create circumstances in that manner?
By visualizing what it is you want in the present tense. You're going to put yourself into the vibration you have to be in to cause the actions that you're going to cause and to create the circumstances that you want to create. See, it's all in your mind. You've got to see it in the present tense. If you've got an idea in your conscious mind, it's not something you're going to get in the future, it's something you got now. So you've got to see it in the present tense. The future must become the present in the imagination. Well, that's what he's saying. See the good that you desire now. As you get emotionally involved, you've got the idea now. The only thing you haven't got it is on a physical level. It must move into form. If you're intellectually and emotionally involved, it's only a period of time till it moves into form. That's how you create circumstances. Everybody creates circumstances by virtue of the vibration they're in and what they're doing.
All right, next one's from Sudani. What do you mean by the level of awareness? What is the best way to increase our level of awareness?
By studying, you're increasing your level of awareness listening to some of these answers. I'm aware of how to answer these questions. You become aware. Yeah, the best way to put it, a baby cannot tell the difference between a male and a female. The baby must become aware of the difference in gender. Our problem is, at a very early age, we stop helping them develop awareness and we get them involved in intellectual exercises. That's what school does. They want you to develop your intellect. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't develop your intellect, but you should develop your awareness. Awareness is much more important. You've got all kinds of people who are brilliant intellectually and they're not very aware. So they usually struggle throughout their whole life. You got to become aware of how money's earned. And most people are not. You got to become aware that if there's dis-ease, it starts in the mind. You got to be aware of that. It manifests in the body. What manifests is an effect. You have to go to the cause of the problem inside. Okay?
Next one's from Gertrude. I'm no longer motivated to create in my job. New projects motivate me minimally and I feel physically affected. Is it time to leave or should I change my way of working, delegate more?
Well, first of all, I think you should change your way of working. Maybe you should leave too. But you don't let the job control you. You control the job. And if you're giving it everything you got and you don't like it, get out of it. See, you should be doing what you love to do. Find out what you love, dedicate your life to it. But just because you don't like it doesn't mean you should back off and not do a good job. Give it everything you've got. That's a good habit to form. If you're giving it everything you got and it's not giving you what you need, get out of there. Go do something else. Stop and think, what do I love doing? That's what you should be doing.
All right, next one's from Davender. 2 questions. First one, my 13-year-old son has special needs. I have been stating affirmations to him before bedtime, such as I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm becoming more focused, independent, better at reading, math, etc. He asked me to write something down for him to read daily. Please, could you kindly suggest something? I'm trying to keep it manageable and simple, yet valuable. I find it gets complicated, and I want to add a lot to the affirmations.
Have him write out, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a smart young man and I can figure out problems easily. And tell him not to tell anybody, but keep saying that over and over to himself. Read it. It's his secret between you and him.
Okay. Second
He's got
question.
a good opinion of himself. Go ahead.
All right. Second question. My C goal includes 1, making a quantum leap professionally in the public sector, and 2, becoming a multimillionaire. It seems my goal and vision statement refer to both goals, and it feels odd to think about, as they would not coincide in reality if I truly was a multimillionaire and pursuing the things I visualize. Is it okay to keep both goals and manifestation both outcomes?
Well, making a quantum leap is not a goal. That's something that happens. It's not a goal. You don't make a quantum leap because you decide to. Quantum leaps only are after the fact. You realize that you've made a quantum leap. It has to do with attitude. Becoming a multimillionaire, what does that mean? What do you want, 2 million, 22 million? Get specific. Multimillionaire is not specific. Multi means more than one, but how many more? Well, be specific and write it out, and then understand you've got to provide a lot of service during multi-millions. And if you're providing a lot of service, you're going to get the money. And if you're not, you won't. It's that simple. You've got to understand how money's earned. It is earned. Okay?
All right. Next one's from Prajant. How one can heal himself from a relationship breakup as it is creating a lot of pain over a period of time.
Well, it's probably going to create some pain. A breakup is something like a death. It's something that's gone from your life, and it controls a large part of your habits. See, if there's two people together, they have a lot of habits that are hooked up together. That's why divorce and death have the highest form of stress, or cause the highest form of stress. It's because you automatically do things with that person, and that person's gone now. You're not doing it anymore. You're going to say this, you're going to go there, you do this, all the habits that are hooked up with that person, and they're gone. But time will heal that, and understand that. Okay?
Second question is there such a thing as destiny? If yes, then what is destiny, and how is it connected with the way we think?
Of course, there's such a thing as destiny. It's where you're going. It's what you're going to do. It's what you're destined to do. Create some big long-term goals, really beautiful ones, and start thinking like the person that's already there. Okay.
Next one's from Anna. How do you deal with negative thoughts?
I try to eliminate them. I do. If I find myself thinking negative, I'll switch real quick. I'll realize that I'm doing it, and I'll stop it. Replace it with one that's essentially the opposite, with a positive thought. When you catch yourself thinking negative, stop it immediately.
All right, next one's from Helen. How to achieve the balance of using social media to connect with people while not wasting time to connect with too many people who share thoughtlessly?
I don't know if there is a balance. I see people that are using them, and I don't go there. I don't use it. We have someone in our company that does it from a company perspective for the company. I never go there. So I'm not interested. Most of it's a bunch of no-brainers. It's it's the chatter of the masses, only they're doing it with pictures. It's a waste of time. Get so interested in your life and what you're doing that you don't give a damn what somebody else is doing. Help them where you can, but trying to monitor them is a waste of time. And it's a dumb game.
All right, next one's from Mark. When I am calm, does the reasoning faculty of my conscious mind stay active? Does this help to avoid manipulative mind tricks by con artists reaching my subconscious mind?
Or manipulative people are going to get into your subconscious mind from time to time anyway. When you're calm, you're in a better position to reason with things, to use your consciousness. See, when you're not calm, you're not in control of you. Something else is in control of you. There's something going on your mind is too busy. Calm down. Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It's the result of long and patient effort in self-control. Read the chapter on serenity in As a Man Thinketh. It's a phenomenal chapter. You might put it out for everybody. You got printout of it, I'm sure, Tracy. Give everybody a copy of it. Can you do that? Good.
I can.
Okay.
All right. Next one's from Graham. I have a 5-year plan across all aspects of my life. It includes the things I want to pursue and achieve in life. My plan requires significant risk-taking and financing. How should I approach?
Aggressively. Approach as if you're going to make it all happen this year. I don't know how you plan 5 years in this world that we're living in. Used to be pretty good, but when the world was moving a lot slower than it's moving now, I don't know anybody can predict where they're going to be 5 years from now. That's a long ways away. Give it everything you got, really go at it. In a calm, confident manner, by the way.
Next one's from Gertrude. I've been making a lot of investments, but I haven't been doing the work. It's like I have been opposed to making investments after coming from a scarcity mindset. I see myself being frustrated chasing goals because I'm not doing the things I invested into. What should I do?
Well, change your attitude and get busy. You see, your attitude is your thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's the composite of thoughts, feelings, and actions. Sounds like you're thinking, but you're not doing, or you may be thinking and feeling, but not doing. Get them all lined up. That's called integrity, when what you say and what you feel and what you do are all the same. Give it everything you got. Go ahead.
Next one's from Katja. 2 questions. First one, in the syllable it says, you can form things in your thought, and by impressing your thought upon formless substances can cause the thing you think about to be created. How do I impress my thoughts upon the formless substance?
Let yourself get emotionally involved. That's the formless substance. The formless substance is the universal subconscious mind. That's also your emotional mind. When you let yourself get emotionally involved, you're impressing a thought upon formless subject, or substance. Okay?
Second question, it is said that I can create everything I want with the help of the formless substance. But what if there is anything like a life plan and this life plan foresees something totally different?
Read that again.
It is said that I can create everything I want with the help of the formless substance. But what if there is anything like a life plan and this life plan foresees something totally different?
Well, it can't see something totally different. Formless substance operates by law. I was reading today in the law and the word, you can change the word, but you can't change the law. Change what's going on in your mind, but you can't change how it's going to manifest. It operates by law. The law never changes. That's constant. Okay.
Next one's from Patrick. I seem to have the problem of Paul Hutsey to let the sales sheet dictate my thinking. In You Were Born Rich, you said you could help Paul in 15 minutes. What advice did you provide him in those 15 minutes?
I told him to act like the person he wanted to become. He had spent something like 20-some years trying to get in the top 50. And I think he was 200 and something. And I said, you're letting the results control your thinking. You got to see yourself in the top 50. God, within a year, he was number 1 out of 500 districts. And it was in a little place in Pittsburgh, Kansas, where half the population has an income below the poverty level. The economy, the size of the town, nothing had anything to do with it. Paul created the image in his mind and away it went. He was letting the results control his thinking. I told him to change that.
All right, next one's from David. What if someone truly 100% believes that what they did is good and most people would consider it bad? What energy is returned to them, good or bad?
Good. It's what you put out. It's what you think. You become what you think about, not what somebody else says.
Next one's from Jasmine. When is it wise to go into debt in order to participate in some kind of training coaching program? And when is it better not to? Is it wrong to tell oneself to wait and first earn the money?
Well, that would depend on the person. I remember there were two people that worked in a company for my wife, and I would help her periodically. One's name was David and the other was Mike. And they were fairly close friends. They weren't real close, but they were friends. And they both wanted to get a new Cadillac car. They come to me and ask for advice. I told one of them to go ahead, put a down payment and buy the Cadillac. The other guy, I told him not to. Now, David would have let the weight of that debt slow him down so he would be useless. The other guy, it would motivate him. So it depends on your attitude. It depends on how you do things. You see, I'm in the business of telling people, go and borrow the money if you have to, but get in the program. And that is because people borrow money to buy cars, fix houses, buy clothes, do damn near everything, but they don't do anything to raise their own level of consciousness. When you invest in you, that's what Ben Franklin, he said, dump a part of your purse into your head. In other words, invest in your own growth and development. I think it's always a good idea. I did. I recommend people do it.
Next one's from Sue. What can I do to attract a new client today? My final pay from my job is now in, and I don't have the savings you recommended, and I want to book the September consultant training. I do believe transformation is for me.
Just book it. You'll have the money when it comes. Go ahead and book it.
Right, next one's from Samantha. I haven't come up with my goal. I still am unable to visualize a picture in my mind. Can you give me any advice?
Well, no, I think you can come up with your goal. I don't think you're doing it. See, I think what happens, you sit down and something comes to your mind that you want, you immediately think, well, I couldn't do that because it's out of reach. You don't have to know how. You only have to know, do you want it? Want is the only prerequisite to setting a goal. What do you want? Now, there's something you want, Samantha. Get honest with yourself. And understand this. You don't have to have the money. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. You don't have to know when it's going to happen. You only have to say, do I want it? And if the answer is yes, go for it. You'll always get it.
Next one's from Roel. When using the memory peg exercise, please give an example of how to associate a picture with the 10 pegs to remember things.
1 run, 2 zoo, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 stick, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 wine, 10 den. 1 run. So I've got a phone here on my desk. 1 is run. I see the phone running. 2 zoo. I've got a little case with the earplugs for my phone in my hand. I'll see that case in a monkey's cage. 2 zoo. I see them in the monkey's cage. 3 tree. I've got a mouse on my desk. 3 tree. I see the tree growing mouses like this. All kinds of mouses growing on the tree. 4 door. I've got a pen here. I see the pen crashing right through a front door. See it crashing through the front door. 1 run. What did I have running? I had the phone running. 2 zoo. What's in the monkey's cage? The holder for the earplugs. 3 tree. What's growing on the tree? The mouses. 4 door. What's crashing through the door? The pen. See, it's the pictures. You get the pictures and you can do it fast. And when you get the 10 pegs, 1 run, 2 zoo, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 stick, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 wine, 10 den. Then you just hook them all up. Hook all the ones up. 1, 11, 21, 31. I can have you remember 100 things in about 5 minutes. You've got a perfect memory. You just have to understand how to use it. Go ahead.
Next one's from Grant. As far as chemistry in the brain, is mental illness real?
No, it's not real. There's no such thing as mental illness. There's no such thing as mental retardation. There's only brain damage.
Okay. Next one's from Zealing. My best friend was abused when she was 6. Her biggest desire is a happy marriage and remains unsuccessful in fulfilling that. In the past, she fell back to her old image. What should she do?
I think she should go to a professional and get help. If I had that problem, I would go to a psychiatrist and get help.
Next one's from Mark. Can our paradigms affect the dreams we have as we sleep?
That's a good question. No, I don't think so.
All right, next one's from Anna. What exercise do you recommend before going to speak in public that helps deliver it so people connect in a deeper level?
Well, I do it just before I speak. I put myself into a very relaxed state and I visualize. I'll tell you exactly how I do it. Years ago, I went to a supper club in England. It's called the Talk of the Town. It was the largest supper club in the world at the time. They had over 1,000 people who would sit down to dinner. It was like an amphitheater. And they had a big stage show. At this time, it was called the Wild Wild West. That show would run for maybe 2-3 years. They'd bring in different stars to head it up. Well, I got a table right near the stage. And I'm going a long ways back into the 60s. And Wayne Newton headed up the show. He was a kid. He wasn't even very old. He's Mr. Las Vegas now, I think. But he walked out on that stage. He may have been 21. I don't know. And he took command of that place. He owned it. He didn't let the size of that or the thousands of people there have intimidate him one bit. He walked out. He owned the place. When I speak, I put myself in a very quiet place, and I'll visualize him walking out on the stage. And I see myself walking out, and I'm going to own the place. And then I just focus on helping the people understand what I'm doing. I don't wonder what they think of me. If you get nervous, you're wondering what the people think of you. If you want to be relaxed, think of helping them. So I see myself, I own the place, I've got their attention, I'm really going to help them. That's what I do. I may go sit in the kitchen in a hotel. If you're all dressed up, they'll think you own the place and nobody will say anything to you.
Next one's from Ulark. When you become aware of your thoughts, did you spend your days wrestling to get to a good vibration, fighting off the negative thoughts?
I probably did, yeah. I was so involved. I was so fascinated with this information, I couldn't stop listening to it. I kept playing records every day, reading book every day. I mean, I saturated my mind with it. I had never heard anybody talk this way. I had never been in the presence of anybody that talked this way. I never read a book, so the Think and Grow Rich was the first book I ever read. I couldn't stop reading it. I couldn't stop listening to Earl Nightingale's recordings. I reprogrammed myself.
Next one's from Stina. What does Joanne mean by deductive methods? I don't understand how she is using the word deductive.
Who is this? Who?
Genevieve Brandt.
Deductive method? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, deductive, it means it can only accept, it cannot reject. The earth is deductive. It has no inductive reasoning capacity. In other words, it has no choice. The earth is amoral. Deductive means it's amoral. It doesn't judge good or bad. It can only accept. It has no ability to reject. That's what your subconscious mind is like. It operates in a very deductive way. It's like the earth. It doesn't care what you plant, but it'll return it.
All right, next one's from Curtis. I struggle with putting multiple vibrations out to the universe, good and bad. I have trouble staying in a good vibration for a long period of time and have become very stagnant in primary business. Please help.
Well, if you're stagnant, you don't have a goal. Quit worrying about putting multiple vibrations out to the universe. Get a goal. Fall in love with the damn thing. And you're not going to be worrying about putting negative vibrations there. You're going to be going after that goal. Think of something you really want and say, I'm not only going to get it, I'm going to get it now because I've got it in my mind. I'm going to put the price out. I'll pay the price and get it. You don't have a goal, Curtis. That's your problem. Your problem isn't being stagnant. That's a symptom. The cause of the problem is no desire. Desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through your action. Well, if you're stagnant, there's no desire. There's no desire. Desire is nothing but a want that you impress upon your subconscious mind until it gets warm hot. Red hot, I should say. Go ahead.
Next one's from Goodrum. How do I find a good finance planner? Do you have any recommendations for a good financial planning company?
No. I formed a partnership with mine. But it's very important. If you don't know how to handle money, get somebody that does. Find a real good lawyer, real good bank. Ask them if they can advise you. But don't just go to the first person that comes along.
He needs to find Sandy Gallagher.
That's right.
Next one's from Isabel. When we sleep and dream, are our dreams a product of our conscious or subconscious mind? Do they tell something meaningful?
You know, that's a good question. I've read a couple of books on dreams, but I'm certainly not an expert. I believe dreams are prophetic. I think it's the working of the subconscious. I think it has to do with something with the ideas you were thinking about when you went to sleep. But I really don't know. Go get a good book on dreams.
Next one's from Jonathan. What is your view on subliminal audio recordings created by others or text messages flashing on your laptop screen? Do you recommend using them to program one's mind for affirmations and or goals?
They're very good. They're very effective. I don't use them. Subliminal advertising is it's outlawed in the stores. They used to play it in stores. They play it in movies. They would take a frame out of a piece of film and they put the word thirsty in it about every few seconds and then flash that. You would go right past your conscious mind. You couldn't go past your senses. You weren't able to see that it was there. But then they'd have an intermission in the theater and you'd get up, you'd be thirsty. You'd go and get something to drink. Or they'd do it in stores. They'd have music playing and they'd have a message built into the music to buy certain things. That's how they'd sold stuff. Well, that was considered outlawed, or it was outlawed, and so they don't do it anymore. A subliminal message is a message that goes past your senses so fast you're not aware of it, goes right to your subconscious mind. Is it effective? Yes, it is. Do I do it? No, I don't. I want to be consciously aware of what the hell I'm putting in my subconscious mind. I just soon come up with the information myself and do it on a conscious level. There's no such thing as sleep learning. Some people think you do it through sleep learning. That's a misnomer. You don't. Go ahead.
All right. This is from Roberto. What video or document do you recommend to send to a prospect before meeting for the first time?
Well, it depends on why I'm going to call on them. Depends on why I'm calling on them. If you're a consultant, well, there's all kinds of there's all kinds of videos on YouTube that you could recommend they look at if you're a consultant. I probably wouldn't send them anything. I would just go and sit down and try and find out what they wanted. And then I'd help them get it. Okay?
All right, next one's from Saeed. Are listening to sad music or conversations about bothersome scenarios with another person things that attract negativity?
Yes, they are. Absolutely. Get the hell away from it.
All right, and second question. I want to book a 5-star hotel for a spring break trip. It will cost $5,000. Do I go ahead and book it and have faith that I will receive the money even though I do not have the money? Should I have faith in the unseen?
Well, that depends on the person. I wouldn't want to recommend either way. Would I do it? Yeah, I probably would, but I'm very good at earning or manifesting money. I mean, I can come up with money faster than you can turn around because I know where it's at and I know how to get it. If you're not really good at it, what's your record like? How long does it usually take you to come up with $5,000? See, I could come up with $5,000 within the next 20 minutes, but I'm not everybody. I'm very good at this. And that would depend on you. It's
All right.
Your faith that'll be done unto you. Go ahead.
Next one's from Tyrell. My dad is going through some dealings with the family that are uncooperative, demanding, and threatening. I have given advice of what I know in my limited understanding of the principles, but I would like a deeper perspective on what he should do, whether he gives in to the demands or stands his ground on what he feels are false accusations against him.
Absolutely. Never give in to demands and you figure they're false accusations. Just absolutely refuse. I don't care if it's family or strangers. No. Hold your ground.
All right, next one's from Arsenio. What specific techniques can be applied to rapidly overcome procrastination and take action in a sustained way?
Get a hold of Think and Grow Rich and read the chapter on decision every day, twice a day, for 30 days. If a person's procrastinating, they don't know how to make a decision. Indecision is the cause of procrastination. Okay? The chapter on decision in Think and Grow Rich is one of the best things on decision you'll ever read.
Right, next is from David.
Go ahead.
From David. What if someone truly 100% believes that what they did is good and most people would consider it bad? What energy is returned to them, good or bad?
Good. Yeah, that's the second person that asked that question. If you believe you're putting good out, that's the energy you're setting out. That's the energy you'll come back. The only energy come back to you is the energy you're putting out.
All right, next one's from Ronald. Apart from the repetition of information to change one's paradigm, are you familiar with how effective Psych-K, EFT, and similar methods are in doing so? I am wondering if the repetition of information alone will be enough to override traumatic childhood experiences that negatively impact one's paradigm.
Well, I'm not familiar with Psych-K, EFT, so I couldn't comment on that. I do know that repetition works.
All right, next one's from Reese. If there was one thing that you wish everyone could know, the message you really want to communicate, what would that be?
That they have infinite potential and it's their responsibility to develop it.
All right, next one's from Gertrude. I am about to rent a new apartment. I did not look at the cost at first, like you always say. I found one which I really like, but it is 2/3 of my monthly wages. It is big with a garden and extra room where I can have my office in the future. What do you recommend I do in terms of the cost and money?
Well, if that were me, I would rent the place and I would give myself a raise right away quick. Money is a reward received for service rendered. I'd figure out a way to provide more service. In fact, I'd provide enough service to pay for that place. Get it going. Start living the way you want by no longer living as you don't want.
Next one's from Delta. I recently turned 71 and cannot release the need to attract unhealthy-minded people into my life. I believe I inherited it from my mother. This blocks me to even participate in matrix or paradigm conferences. I want to be a consultant and know I will be a good one as I enjoy teaching others. What do you suggest?
Become a consultant. 71, my God, you're a kid. I'm 85 and I think I'm just warming up. If you were 91, it's got nothing to do with it. You're alive. It's now. It's today. Give it everything you got. Really live. Used to be a song. I'm going to live until I die. Until my number's up, I'm going to fill my cup. I'm going to live until I die. Some people don't live till they die. They just put in time. When their heart stops beating, it's a formality. Start living the way you want it, Delta, right now. Now, do it.
All right, next one's from Gertrude. One of my part-time employees delegated a task which I gave to her to one of our other employees. Since she has started, she tends to overrule me. What can I do to stop that?
Sit down and have a come to Jesus talk with her. Look her right in the eye and say, if this keeps up, you won't be working here very long.
All right, next one's from Beat. How can I intensify the feelings that every desire that I have set for myself has already been accomplished?
You need a new desire. You need a new goal. How can I intensify the feeling that every desire I have set for myself has already been? Well, you don't have a pile of desires. Desire is an idea inside. It's the goal that you're going after, you're emotionally involved with. I think what you're doing is you're playing a game with your mind here. You're coming up with questions that think there's no answer for them. Quit thinking so much. Get busy and get out and do it.
Next one's from Anna. I've run out of contacts on my phone. What strategy would you recommend to approach the general public?
Go call on companies. If you're a consultant, go call on companies. Go to real estate companies. Go to insurance companies. Go to anybody that's selling. They all want to know how to do more. We've got the answer for them. Okay.
Right, next one's from Alex. Why is attitude called the magic word? Could you please go into that more for me?
Well, Earl Nightingale called it the magic word, and I think he's right. Attitude magically makes things happen. Attitude is the foundation of everything. Change your attitude, and whatever you're looking at changes. It's like magic. Second you change your attitude, your outside world looks different. That's like magic. When you change your attitude, what you're looking at looks different. Change the way you look at something, and what you look at changes. Wayne Dyer used to say that all the time. Attitude is thoughts, feelings, and actions. It is magic.
All right, next one's from Adrian. 2 questions. How can one explain gratitude to a 3-year-old so they can practice it every day the way I do?
I'll tell you, you got the answer for it. You've obviously got a 3-year-old, Adrian. The only thing a child has not got that you have got is experience and vocabulary. Keep that in mind. But you can talk to the 3-year-old child the same as you can talk to me, or you can talk to Tracy here on the phone. The only thing they lack is words, proper vocabulary, and experience.
And his second question is, can you please explain the importance of persistence?
Well, persistence is vitally important. There may be no heroic connotation to the word, but the quality is to the character of the human, like what carbon is to steel. Napoleon Hill wrote a whole chapter on it, and it's a pretty good chapter. Hold on just a minute. One moment. I got my book right here on the desk. Now listen. Hill said there are 4 simple steps which lead to the habit of persistence. They call for no great amount of intelligence, no particular amount of education, and but little time or effort. Number 1. A definite purpose backed by a burning desire for its fulfillment. Number 2, a definite plan expressed in continuous action. Number 3, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including negative suggestions, of relatives, friends, and acquaintances. 4, a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. These 4 steps are essential for success in all walks of life. They're the 4 steps for developing persistence. If you are not persistent, you're probably not going to go very far. But I want to remind you, there's a very fine line between persistence and being a pest. You got to know where that line stops.
All right, next one's from Alex. How do you retain these habits so they don't slip away?
Well, if they're habits, they're not going to slip away. Habit is something you do automatically without conscious thought. Okay?
All right, next one's from Anna. What can I do when a relative has a negative attitude? How can I handle it without having an argument?
Well, understand it's their attitude. You can't change your friend, but you can change your perception of what they're saying. Just don't let it affect you. There's a difference between respond and react. When they're negative and you react, you let their negative attitude control yours. When you respond, you're not letting their attitude control you.
All right, next one's from Jeppe. My girlfriend bought and paid for TIR where I coached her. Should she always pay for my coaching and events, or how have you done it in your personal relationships?
Say this again. My girlfriend bought and paid.
My girlfriend bought and paid for TIR where I coached her. Should she always pay for my coaching and events, or how have you done it in your personal relationships?
No, you should pay your own way. Pay your own way.
All right, and these will probably be our last questions for this call. This is from Graham. I understand better through studying SGR the idea of creation versus competition. How would you suggest we apply this concept on a daily, weekly basis so we can better achieve our C-type goals?
Oh, well, just incorporate it as part of your life. Just say, this is how I'm going to live. I'm going to be a pro. I'm not going to compete with anybody. Okay.
Right, next one's from Natalia. How do you split up time for family, work, etc. between studying our material and taking actions, goal-related actions? I need to study for my goal too, so how can I best split my time?
Listen, when you have a family, if they're small kids, you've got to look after them. That's your first responsibility, is to those children. The second responsibility is to yourself, okay? At night, sit down and think, what am I going to do tomorrow? All you're going to do is manage activity. You can't manage time, so you're going to manage your activities. You say, I'll do this now, and I'll do this then, and I'll do this certain time, and then stick to it. It's a matter of disciplining yourself.
All right, and next question's from Philip. 2 questions. First one, what can I do to ensure I am continuously moving closer to my main goal every single second of every day?
Well, I don't know how you're going to do it every single second and every day. Keep the goal on the screen of your mind as much as possible. Carry your goal card. Review your goal frequently. But you're going to make mistakes and you're going to get off course. The trick is to get back on course again. You're not perfect. You'll screw up. Okay.
And then the second part of his question, should I be making small, steady progress towards my goal or take massive action?
Well, I think every now and then you'll take massive action, but, persistence is the best thing. Steady, progressive, moving. Earl said success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. He didn't say anything about massive action. The progressive realization, in other words, continually moving in the right direction. Tracy, you are a gem. Thank you. Did a great job.
All right. Thanks so much, Bob, for your time today. And thanks to everyone for joining us. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Terry. Bye now.
Bye.